Hello, my precious cinnamon rolls. My name is Phoe, and I'm here back again playing Loren, the Amazon princess. And I've forgotten what we're doing. Let's go to camp then. It'll be a rough day on the mall. Most of them just want to sit on the campfire for a hot meal and then go to sleep, Eleanor included. However, their food had run completely out the day before and they were too busy with their tasks to gather more. Loren called over Eleanor. Arrange for a gathering party or else the weak-willed of us will apparently start. Draco says, so hungry. Loren says, it's only been a day. Eleanor says, I will begin a hunt immediately. I think I saw some berry bushes in the woods. Amukiki says, that will not feed us. They both looked at Amukiki as he made himself part of the conversation. Eleanor was less welcoming as usual. Eleanor says, and what would you suggest? Amukiki says, there are fish in the lake. Eleanor says, how would we even catch the fish? Amukiki says, I don't understand the way you always catch fish with a spear. That was unfortunately something Eleanor hadn't been taught nor even seen thanks to her days in the sealed law. Eleanor says, berries keep for much longer, and anyway, not everyone is trained in spear fishing, so we can throw that idea out. Amukiki says, I'll stay behind or I'll catch a fish by myself. And says, whatever you get as much as you can. I don't want us to be in this situation again. Eleanor and Amukiki were left glaring at each other when Loren gave up on them. Amukiki's inherent competitiveness combined with Eleanor's possessiveness of her mistress triggered a war in their minds. They took separate routes to the same waterside location, but they met there just the same. Eleanor had quickly scouted through the forest for berry bushes, but was incredibly frustrated that she had only found a few. Amukiki, on the other hand, was wading in the lake and had already started collecting a pile of fish on the shore. That he had only briefly acknowledged her presence before striking the water and retrieving the fish impaled on the spear. Eleanor's jaw clenched. This was not going the way she wanted. There wasn't another berry bush in sight, and likely wouldn't be anywhere nearby, at least not enough to trump his pile of fish. So she weighed her options, continue with her plan or find another better food source. There was no doubt in her mind that it was a ladder. Eleanor quickly evaluated her surroundings. Amukiki retrieved even more fish from the end of his spear. A bird chirped and flew away just above her head. She looked up and saw a bird's nest on a low branch, and she smiled to herself. Loren favoured eggs. Eleanor tried jumping, but her fingers only reached the branch. She landed with a thud, so she immediately looked over to see if Amukiki saw her. He appeared to be too focused on fishing. So she tried jumping again and again, but she never got high enough. She stopped and stared at the nest with resentment. Then she tried one last time and gave herself a running start, trying to jump as high as she could. Her fingertips did graze the nest, and perhaps she would have collected the eggs in her next try had she not landed so horribly. Her ankle twisted when her feet touched the ground, shooting bolts of pain for her entire body. Did she not twist her ankle once already in the game? It's a misremembering. She exhaled sharply through her nose to keep from crying out. She tried to move her leg, but attempts to stand caused tears to swell in the corners of her eyes. Not only she failed to collect the eggs and the berry idea failed, but now she couldn't even walk back to camp. Amukiki says, are you hurt? Which meant Amukiki completely run us around. Eleanor says, I'm fine. He exited the water anyway, she cursed inwardly. Amukiki says, you hurt your leg. Eleanor says, it will be fine in a moment, just leave me alone. Eleanor was sure this was the maximum amount of humiliation any mortal could endure. She didn't need him to point it out to her. Amukiki still entertained walking close to her, but she swiped her hand at him. I don't need your help. Except he was not working towards her, but instead towards his collection of fish, which she pulled over his shoulder. She bit her lip and her face felt ice cold. Amukiki says, I will meet you back at camp. He said, leaving the air, and panic fled up in her. She was going to be stuck there, perhaps all night. She couldn't swallow her pride long enough to ask the man for help. The air felt cold as she sat alone by the lake. She remained there, cursing herself and anything that she could think of until she finally realised that Amukiki wasn't even going to send someone else back to help her. He was just letting her rot. Eleanor says, I'm so pathetic. I'm better than this. I just need to get up. She used the tree as a means to pull herself up to her feet, taking a weight off the bad leg. She tested her injury, but trying to place her foot flat on the ground. She hissed in pain. Footfalls in the grass startled her, even more so when she saw it was Amukiki again. He paused briefly to give her a bemused look. Eleanor says, well, I didn't want to go about it. She was about to put a small, but Amukiki walked right up to her and grabbed her. Eleanor shrieked as he lifted her off the ground and carried her in his arms. She reeled against him, but he did not let go. Eleanor says, put me down. Didn't you hear me? Drop me. Amukiki says, I know you don't mean that. She seethed, knowing that she didn't want to be landed elsewhere. Anywhere, even. But it felt better to be mad at him than at herself. They continued in silence back the camp. That's a typo. But when they got near enough, Eleanor started to fuss again. Let me down now. Loren cannot know. Amukiki seemed to be sympathetic to her plea, because he stopped and led her down gently. Her ankle bothered her immediately, and she leaned against him for support, as much as her mind was screaming for her to not. She eventually managed to stand on her own two legs, providing that proving that her condition was improving already. Amukiki removed his steadying hand from her shoulder, and she just then realised it was even there. Amukiki finally parted from her and left the campfire. The smell of food was strong and sent her stomach rumbling. Small, soft steps led her slowly towards everyone else. She quickly learned to get over her pride when Amukiki's cooked fish was passed to her and she chose to devour it. She felt Amukiki's eyes on her whenever she moved, but in a new way, as if he was concerned. And perhaps it was just Eleanor's new perception that felt different. Even if she didn't want to admit it, her views on him had changed for the better. Oh, we got a romance. Oh, we've got 3 hearts for him. So just check that out. We've got 3 for Amukiki, 2 for Ray, 2 for Karen, none for Chambara, none for Mesphit, and I think the others are locked out because we're playing a lady. So that would be Draco, Mirth, and who's the third one then? Oh, it must be Loren. Yeah. Loren is a romance option for both genders in the game. But we just haven't got any hearts with her. Right, okay. What do you talk about? Hi again. No, he's not got anything to talk about. Okay. Nothing new with me. Right, Amukiki. He says nothing. Next, he's getting restless. I think we talked to everybody last time, didn't we? Okay. I'm not comfortable with the Dark Witch in our camp, Mirth says. Eleanor says many of us aren't, but Loren deemed her safe, so we'll welcome it for now. And do you feel it, the void that she carries with her? It's cold, and I feel as though my energy has been sapped from me. Eleanor says, truly, I felt nothing. Are you in pain? Mirth says, it's almost too small to detect, but... Eleanor says, keep your distance from her then. Mirth says, but how can I? If we should share the same battlefield, then our lives are in each other's hands. I have to trust her. Eleanor says, please tell me if you ever suspect anything. I'm sure Loren would like to know right away. I said, yes, I'm sorry for bothering you with this. Mirth seemed very upset with Chambara's presence. She got anything else to say? No. Ray? Eleanor says, how are you handling Mesphit? Ray glares at Eleanor for a moment before responding. Well, thank you. Eleanor says, is something the matter? You've invited my worst enemy to bed with us instead of ridding the world of him. I must now watch over him like a child. Excuse me if I'm a little perturbed. Eleanor says, I know my decision doesn't sit well with you, but I'm asking you to accept it. Ray asks, just tell me why. Eleanor says, because I think he can redeem himself. Ray says, he's a murderer. Eleanor says, so are you. Ray clamped his mouth shut. Mesphit didn't kill your parents. Your order to assassinate him is over. You are now teammates. Loren and I expect that you will respect that. Ray says, I'm a professional. I will start acting like one. I'm sorry. Though he apologised, Eleanor knew that Ray would continue to not tolerate Mesphit's presence. Was it my turn to patrol the night, or was it yours? Eleanor says it was my turn. Ray says, I see, my mistake. Ray returned to leave satisfied in their small conversation. It prickled Eleanor for him to act so normally around her all of a sudden, especially after the dispute. Eleanor asks, that's it? Ray says, yes, why? Eleanor laughed nervously. She knew she was ridiculous for pointing this out. Sorry, I'm just surprised that you've given up trying to impress me. Ray says, oh, I see, you think I am enamoured with you. He says, no, I have given up on you as you wanted. It is really not in my interest to keep hunting an unwilling prey. Eleanor's mouth twisted from being referred to as prey. Yes, well, it's for the best. Ray says, I'll say all this time I've been blind to the true beauty in this camp. Yes, true beauty? Hugh. Ray took a step to the side to reveal Loren warming her hams by the campfire. A majestic woman and dangerous, just how I like them. Eleanor felt a shooting sensation in her stomach and then a sudden fear for Ray's life. Are you honestly suggesting what I think you are? Ray asks, why don't you agree that Loren is the only worthy lover for me? Eleanor says she's an Amazon. Ray asks, so do you doubt I couldn't seduce her? Eleanor says, I don't think Loren is your type. How naive. He winked and headed straight for the fire, straight for Loren. Oh man, I'm going to let him go. It's going to be hilarious. Eleanor slapped her forehead with her hand. Eleanor says, he's going to die, he's really going to kill himself. Sure enough, Ray directly approached Loren and started speaking with her. Eleanor was too fearful to go anywhere near the impending carnage. She could only watch Ray smirk and present himself to Loren, who didn't look at him until far into his rambling. When she did look at him, her eyes were ablaze as she prepared to battle. A swift kick of the boot knocked the unshakable Ray to the ground, and it was clear that his seduction was over. And it had failed. Utterly. It seemed like Ray had to bargain for his own life, and Murphy arrived by his side to help Loren calm down and put away her sword. Eventually she did, but it was clear that it took a lot of effort on her part. Ray was probably too embarrassed to mention this incident with Eleanor after that, but she was comfortable in the knowledge that she was right. that didn't get us a romance thing, though. We can go back and pick the other option. Save him! Eleanor wanted to stop him, but by the time she regained control of her senses, Ray was already at the campfire, catching Loren's attention. All she could do was watch in horror as Ray straightened his clothing and presented himself to her. It's a lovely night, don't you agree? Loren was thankfully unreceptive to him, as she was to most men. She said nothing, but Ray was not convinced. He took a step closer to her. The starlight has fallen particularly well, yet you were inarguably the most radiant thing this night. Loren still did not even turn her head to acknowledge him. He glanced over at Eleanor. She inhaled from the sudden eye contact. Your arm, it is battle-worn. He broke his look from Eleanor, took Loren's arm in his hands. Does it hurt you now? Loren snapped her head to finally look at him. He ran his fingers down her arm gently. Her eyes flared wide, and she yanked her arm back. Loren says, mind to yourself. Ray says, but I cannot help to keep you in mind. Loren says, what was that? Loren took a step towards him, and he instinctively stepped backwards out of a lumbering shadow. Eleanor looked up. Ray says, you mean I cannot help be smitten, excuse me. Another step from Loren was met with another retreat from Ray. He knew he was losing ground fast. With your lovely, Loren's hand was on her sword, now prepared to draw blood. The poor elf threw up his hands, but still struggled to finish his line. You're a lovely woman I never meant harm with. Loren says, where I come from, men have been castrated from much less. And then Ray lost his voice completely, but Loren did not let go of her weapon. Eleanor dashed forwards and stood between them, her arms spread defensively. Mistress, I beg you to overlook this, please. It was only just this. It's a joke, it was not serious, I'm sure of it. Loren glared at Ray as hard as she could and slowly unfurled her hand from her sword. She met her eyes with Eleanor and pursed her lips. After that, she turned on her heel and left him. It was clear that it took much effort on Loren's part not to punish Ray according to her culture's standards. Eleanor only hoped Ray saw that and learned not to mess with fire ever again. Ray let out a long breath of relief. She's rather frigid, isn't she? Eleanor spun around. That's all you have to say. She wasn't bluffing. I've lived with the Amazons. They're not as forgiving when it comes to unwanted advances. Humph. You could have at least mentioned that before. Eleanor says, but I did. Ray's cheek gave some colour and he could not keep eye contact with her. He was embarrassed. Eleanor let his flippancy slide this time. Anyway, I hope you give up on her now for your own sake. Ray says, my own sake? Is that a hint of jealousy I hear in your voice? Eleanor says, just because I don't want to sleep doesn't mean I want to see you get hurt. Ray was silent for a moment, but managed to reclaim his light-hearted demeanour. Friends, are we? Eleanor had wanted such from the beginning, but his incessant flirting made it difficult to enjoy his company. Yes, of course we are friends. He laughed. Ray says, good, I'm happy, truly. It'll be interesting having a woman friend for once. Eleanor says, really? Are you saying you've never had a female friend before? If you don't count Mirth. Eleanor says, well, I'm sorry. Ray didn't reply, having never once considering not having a woman as anything other than a lover as a bad thing. That gets you a romance. Increase. Friends get you romance. Oh dear. Has he got anything else to say? Nope. About Chambara. The Dark Witch was standing alone by the campfire. Eleanor looked around, unsure as if she should go to speak with her. Chambara didn't seem like the most friendly of companions, simply speaking, or it seemed to irritate her. But if she became friends with someone, perhaps it would change. Chambara looked over her shoulder, sending cold chills through Eleanor, but she said nothing and turned back to the fire. For a few moments, Eleanor shook off her anxiety, cleared her throat, and walked up to her. Eleanor says, Chambara. Chambara says, get a good look. Eleanor says, what? Chambara says, don't be coy, I'm aware I have attractive rear end. Eleanor gagged, realizing she thought she was oogling her from behind. Eleanor says, no, I wasn't, I swear. Chambara asks, really? What a shame you missed your chance, and I doubt you'll have another one. I'll tell you why you're really here then. I wanted to get to know more about you. Chambara stared at her blankly. Eleanor cleared her throat again. For instance, I wanted to know more about death magic, like... Chambara suddenly on. That topic is boring. You certainly are a disappointing one, aren't you? Oh, that's boring? Yes, it's such a mundane business. Bones, blood, and sacrifices, standard affair. That's sacrifices? Chambara says, oh, don't get your underlining in a knot. It's mostly just small animals. Underlining? What? Chambara's eyes flickered across Eleanor's body. Mostly. Was she thinking about sacrificing her? Friendly. Eleanor stared at Chambara's unwavering seriousness, expecting her to crack a smile at least. She had to be joking, she was sure of it, but after a long moment of nothing, Eleanor hurriedly laughed to dispel the tension. Ah, you got me again. You're quite the jokester, Chambara. I had no idea. And Chambara says, jokester? I visited the Dark Witch explaining the sacrifices in detail. Eleanor broke away. Anything else? A small question for you. Eleanor says, really? Please go on. Why are you still here? Eleanor says, I'm sorry? Why haven't you run away yet? Nothing is keeping you here. You could run off right now. Why would I do that? Because you're a slave? It's been so long since she considered herself a slave to Loren. She treated her more kindly than her Amazon and gave her extensive freedom and trust. I am loyal to my princess and she needs me by her side, Eleanor said. Chambara says, what do you think will happen when she doesn't need you anymore? When this war is over and you both go traipsing back to your castle, who's going to go back to clean the chamber pots? You. Or worse, you'll forget your corpse among the hills, and only sometimes will she stop breathing, wonder if something was missing. Also, you really mean to her. You are, and always will be, a slave. Eleanor's teeth were clenched shut from the horrible tale she wove. Romance. Eleanor's thoughts drifted away to a life outside slavery was difficult to imagine. I knew how to deliver a servant in the citadel. If I had my freedom, where would I go? What would I do? Anything you want, that's the perk. Says I never considered what I would do if I was free. Chambara smirked and leaning close. I can think of a few things. I'll ask, what? Chambara's smoke faltered as her bluff was called. You know, have fun. Well, that's fun? And I looked away, trying to remember the last time she had fun. I once played a song game with the other servants in the citadel. Chambara blinked in confusion. Eleanor smiled simply, recalling the game. We all took turns singing a verse to build a song. It was quite silly by the end. But how would I do that by myself if I was freed? Chambara, could I play the song game with you if I'm ever free? Chambara says, I guess. Eleanor smiled warmly, confusing Chambara even more. I guess the heart would hurt. Against the better judgment, Eleanor approached Chambara for a chat. Well, look who is working up to me so boldly. It isn't my beautiful hero come to enchant me with her sweet words. Really, you think I'm beautiful? I was joking, but let me see. She openly evaluated her with her eyes. Then she actually reached out to Eleanor's chest and her hand on the side of her, causing her to gasp. You have remarkable curves. I dare say you are very, very attractive. Chambara whispered the last word while looking her straight in the eyes, her lips curling into a smile. The feel of her hand seemed to linger on her skin. Living with the Amazons around all those women and being this delicious looking, you've probably quite experienced in bed. I bet you'll lose a fun. Friendly. I was not a harem slave, and even though I was, it was not as if I had a choice in my own pleasure. Chambara says, so what I'm hearing is that you're a virgin. Eleanor says, so what if I am? I'm not ashamed of it. Chambara says, oh, no, don't be ashamed, darling. Virginity has merits of its own, you know. Her eyes were prying. Eleanor felt as if she could not hide from them well in her presence. Chambara says, I'm not in the mood. Can relate. Mesphit glared at Eleanor as she approached. He flexed his jaw. You've allowed me to live. Why? Eleanor says, you're not around me. Mesphit says, I am part demon. I hungered for your death before. I'm sure I'll hunger again. Eleanor eyed Mesphit, considering what he said. If our roles were reversed, I would not have let you live. You would be a burden to keep and a danger to let go. My decision would have been quick. Eleanor says, but our roles aren't reversed. I stand by my decision. Mesphit hissed. I've turned my back on my brothers in the desert to become a prisoner to forest filth. I'd rather be dead. Eleanor says, what did you call me? You heard me. I'm a servant of the Amazons. I've done nothing to the Dark Elves. Mesphit says, a servant, a slave. You know true oppression, yet you condemn me to a life with it? Eleanor says, excuse me? I am bound to a tree at night. You speak of me as I am not here. I cannot be trusted to left alone, not even to bathe. This is not the life I want to live. Romance. Eleanor says, what about your father? Mesphit's hard glass softened on the thought of Toba. You're alive for him and your people. You were once a freedom fighter. Is your movement over? Mesphit says, no. He was quick to respond. The fire of rebellion still alive within him. You have a lot to live for. Mesphit says, they call me a monster. Eleanor says, all I see is an elf is in front of me. Mesphit's eyes searched Eleanor's face in silence. Neither found anything more to say in the unending pause, so Eleanor broke away. Romance. Oh, we've got hearts with everybody except Loren, man. Eleanor says, it looks like the Dark Elves are finally getting accepted back to the forest. To you it might. All that's happened is the elders calling for my people to die upon them. Eleanor says, is that all you really see? The forest elves have decided to give amnesty to the Dark Elves. Isn't that a step in the right direction? It says, under other conditions I would be more grateful, but this only goes to show how greedy the elders can be. They have ignored us and persecuted us until they needed bodies to throw into the fray, and you ask me if this is progress. Eleanor says, I see what you're saying, but you've committed crimes simply to be recognised. Now your people are being recognised like you wanted. It may cost some lives, but the forest elves can't ignore your people anymore after this. Mesphit says you'd be surprised. Eleanor asks, can't you be more optimistic about this? Mesphit says, the time for optimism has passed. Eleanor was starting to realise how convicted Mesphit had become from a lifetime of rejection. Have you got anything else to say? Eleanor asked, did you really kill a forest elder? Mesphit stood up straight. I did. Eleanor asked, how could you? Were you under the influence of your demon blood again? And Mesphit says, no, the elder deserved his death. I had it for our people, not for the demon side. Eleanor says, you? Mesphit says, I don't regret my actions. They were wrong, they were violent, but I regret nothing. You murdered someone, but you don't regret it. Why not? All pleas of my people were ignored by the forest. My father tried in vain to reach out to the elders and the Druids. We were killed on sight in the forest, and the messages we've paid to enter on our behalf may as well have never gone. Not a word has ever come back. Neither did food or help of any kind. We were left to fend for ourselves in the arid sand, just as they condemned our ancestors. The elders forced our hands. The elder forced me to kill him. Eleanor asks, how can you think that way? You murdered him. As it says, I don't expect you to understand. Friendly. Then help me to understand. Since I have become operations in the forest, I have kept my people fed and protected. I have given them exactly what they deserved. We even stirred the elder druid herself to visit us. They can no longer ignore us. Mesphit closed his eyes tightly and turned away. Has he got anything else to say? Eleanor says, how did you come to be... Eleanor drifted off, unsure if a question about his demon blood was set him off or if it was pointless to ask. The pause allowed Mesphit to fully understand. He looked away with gritted teeth. Her. Eleanor says, who? Demon. She spoke truth to me. She understood everything and she wanted to help. Mesphit looked at his arms and tightened his muscles so that he could see his veins. It did help in the beginning, but... You were no longer yourself, Eleanor realised. Mesphit said, I was weak like the ancestors. My father spoke about how we become a stronger way than before. I proved that he was wrong. So the Dark Elves deserve to be ostracised? I know you don't believe that. Mesphit said, I don't. It shouldn't matter. We're still living and breathing. We still need a home. Eleanor says, that's like saying demons deserve a place in our world too. Demon, a word for an evil being. Dark, a word for the absence of good. Our words are our shackles. Your very language imprisons me. But Eleanor says, but demons are evil. Mesphit says, are they? Eleanor had no way to answer that. It was just an accepted fact. They had done so much evil across the world and for no reason. Really. You honestly believe that demons deserve our protection, our respect? It says crime should be punished for what makes a crime. Have you ever thought of that? I said, but you know we must fight the demons. Are you truly on their side? Mesphit says, no, I'm no friend to demons in the East, but only because of the crimes they committed, not for what they are. Mesphit says, you say that they are evil. Your idea of evil may not even exist. Eleanor shook her head. It was too much for her to even begin to consider. If the demons weren't evil, then why were they fighting them? She just had to break the conversation because it got any worse. Has he got anything else to say? Mesphit looked away. That would be no. So we did a lot of talking, and that's the end of this episode. Hi, this is Phoe. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like, comment, and if you really liked it, please subscribe.